290 episodes, dude. It's insane.
290. We're almost at 300.
Yeah.
Now, the significance of that, let me just say this.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've seen it or not, there's a Canadian TV show called The Red Green Show,
Hmm.
and it was broadcast down here on our public broadcasting.
Okay.
Funny show. I highly recommend it. If you ever get a chance to see clips from it or watch an entire episode,
Yeah.
highly recommend it. It's hilarious. And it is the most successful Canadian television show in the United States. They did 300 episodes. We're 10 away from tying their record. I feel good. I'm not comparing us to Red Green, to our Canadian contingent up there in the Great White North. But yeah, we're 10 away from tying their record.
There's a meme clip on Facebook that's been going around, and it's two Canadian. I forget now the cliffhanger of it, but it's funny. So it's two Canadians with a car. There's a car stopped,
Mm-hmm.
and there's two Canadians on either window, and there's like an American family or whatnot, and the
Mm-hmm.
two Mounties, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
are Frenchmen, or you
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Like they're
French
Canadian,
Canadian, yeah.
French Canadian. Um, and the thing is that they tell them something, but their accent changes it, and they say something. I can't even say it, but it sounds like a really dirty thing when they say it. But you have to see it to actually. And the couple looks at them and said, "Excuse me, you're not saying what I think you're saying." And it's something like he says, "Happy," a- and then he uses the word "poopy, poopy." He says the word "asshole." Um, it's something that you need to have a happy in order to have a happy household. But instead of saying household, he says a hole, and but the first part is even worse because it says something else. But in that whole little dialogue, it's funny as heck because they're serious. They're just being useful and friendly towards them, but the language problem,
Yeah, yeah,
with the
yeah.
the accentuation in the wrong parts creates a terrible dilemma, and that does happen.
Oh
But it's
my God,
something
does it
fun.
ever? Did he just say what I think he said?
Yeah, I hope somebody you guys run into that clip so you can see. I found it funny. I was gonna share it with a bunch of you guys,
Hmm.
but I didn't because even though it's innocent, the actual word change up, it's kind of like it's too
Kind of
icky.
like telling a dirty joke and find out your grandma could hear it.
Yeah, it was a little bit too much. Even though I've shared other
Uh,
things that are maybe a little bit more outrageous with you guys, but in this case, I was like, oh no, is it really no? And for some reason, I had internal dialogue
uh-huh.
about the e- eff- eff- efficacy of sharing it. And do you ever do that? Does that ever happen to
Yes.
you? Should I
Yes.
share this, or is this too risque, or should I share this,
Oh,
or it's too.
all the time. I sit back and I'm like, I don't know, should I do that? And out loud, Linda thinks I'm on a video chat with somebody. Out loud,
Yeah.
I'm like, should I do this? Nah, I don't think I'll do that. Maybe not now. Maybe if we get into a conversation about something similar, I'll send it to him. But I'm not going to do that right now.
I will say something that's risque, not risque, but a little bit over the top that I ran into earlier. Um, and you'll have to be, you guys will understand in the spirit that it's given. I'm assuming that, but like we're all buddies and friends and
Hmm.
such, and so um, except that we're doing it publicly. But I ran into this. You know how sometimes Facebook will throw out like a page that you're not subscribed to,
Yes,
but it's
big
like
time.
giving you teasers to see if
Hmm.
you like it, and that way whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and since I'm all into this history DNA slash this and that, they threw up one of those. I hate to say it, but I'm gonna say it because it's we was Kongs type
Hmm.
pages where African Americans, like all civilizations across history, um basically,
Hmm.
are claimed, and everybody else is
Yeah.
infiltrators or imposters. And so, but it's like ubiquitously across every civilization, dude. It's
Yeah.
like there's no civilization left untouched by these types
Yeah.
of
Groups.
people.
Yeah.
I guess so. I couldn't help myself.
Hmm.
So I read the comments, and the
Hmm.
thread went for hundreds of freaking, because people see that, and maybe it's the same reaction. I don't get upset about it, but I do
Hmm.
read it because I'm like, this is outrageously like not legit. At least as far as I understand it,
Hmm.
it's not legit, and yet I have to read what these people say. How did they reason out that this is gonna be acceptable? Like reasonable.
Hmm.
I had to. Maybe that's why Facebook said this guy will fall for this one.
Yeah.
Um,
Like a
and
trout, they got you.
Yeah, because I'm trying to figure out how people will reason out something that doesn't match, but whatever. And so in the thread, there's people coming out of the woodworks telling them this, and that. And then there's pictures,
Hmm.
like, or, like little meme pictures,
Hmm.
and people fight with memes now.
Yeah.
So the fighting with memes um, is kind of stupid, but we'll leave that to the side. As the thread went down,
Hmm.
one guy from Kentucky
Hmm.
posted a laundry of memes that exponentially, each one after the other, went from
Yeah.
um,
Just got
cro-
worse and worse, huh?
crossing the line slightly to like full on, like
Yeah.
1857. We're
Yeah.
gonna round everybody up, and like it went nuts, dude. And I was reading that, but here's the thing. I'll be honest. Obviously, according to everything I don't that kind of stuff pisses me off. But in meme form and reading it, it just became so. I started laughing like I started like every. It's so ridiculous. So I started laughing at something that, and I realized I'm laughing at the stuff that this guy is posting. After a while of reading, because I was trying to find, is somebody going to challenge this guy? But they become so absurd that I started laughing myself, and I caught myself laughing and saying, "Well, hell, you know, um, any other person, you know, regular person that maybe holds different views than I,
Hmm.
in terms of like, you know, sort of like this equality of
Hmm.
human beings based on the fact that we're human beings. Like that's a baseline thing that I believe. Um, Somebody else that doesn't believe that might find those memes doubly or triply funny. Like funny, like knee slapping, head tossed to the back, and just going for broke. So, but he went on and on and on and on with pictures and this and that, and something to do with electricity and the wheel and the this
Yeah.
and that. It just kept going and going and going and going and going. And I could have attacked back, but I felt that it's no use. But one thing that I can say is that when he's arguing all these things using memes, it's not the most intelligent thing in the world.
Oh, it's fifth
Maybe,
grade.
yeah, maybe one, right. It's like maybe one meme and then an explanation, something a little bit more, but there's no diligence here in terms of
Yeah.
the thought process. But I felt like telling him, um, despite me cracking up as I kept going, that listen, dude, you obviously are saying that these people are part of that group, and you're part of this group that invented this and that and the other. And I felt like telling him that, you didn't invent Jack Squad. All you're only tied to the wheel, the frickin' aeroplane, the frickin' I
Fire.
don't know, the Beatles crossing the Atlantic so they could play over here. I don't know, the building of galleons. Oh,
Mhm.
I don't know, just a whole host and series of things that, sure enough, many people of European ancestry did, but you didn't do that. Your only claim attachment is the fact that you place yourself in that group due to your ancestry, but you didn't, I don't know, fight in the battles of what was that with Napoleon, that famous
Oh, uh,
Waterloo. You
Waterloo. Thank you.
weren't at Waterloo, were you, buddy? So that was my initial thing, like to say, listen, dude, have some humility. But I didn't do it because why get into that kind of.
Yeah, you're just beating your head against the wall. You're beating your head against the wall. I mean, he's already showed what he's capable of over the fact that he couldn't express it himself. When you just start posting stuff like that, what you're trying to do is instigate an internet rock fight. And the fact that nobody is engaging with the guy just tells me, you'd be having a battle of wits with an unarmed person. So
Well,
just
it
why bother?
catches, that fly paper catches a lot of flies because I'm talking about the original post,
Yeah.
because it's,
Oh, no doubt. Fish bite hooks, no doubt.
yeah, it doesn't match. So look, it doesn't match, like, attaching certain things to certain populations and this and that. It just doesn't historically match. However, even the things that do make sense, that do work, people still laugh at that crap too,
Yeah.
because they don't know what they don't know, so to them it's all foolishness. So like, um this We Was Kong's guy could easily, if instead of all that fantastical stuff, fantastical in the sense that there's no actual, like, there's no
Evidence?
concrete. Yeah, it's a, I mean, but they could have said, well, look, um we all originate from, we came out of, and that's genetically been studied, and they have archaeology. They could do that,
Mhm.
and they would be, as far as what we know, or what the science, and the archaeology, that's what it points to, that it
Mhm.
all came out from there, and they would be on solid ground. The
Yeah.
people laughing would be laughing in ignorance, and they'd be good.
Hmm.
But no, no, they don't do that. They
Well,
go over the top with this and that, and they have the right to do it. If they want to do that, have
see
fun.
that now you know why I don't click those links. I see them come up, and I'm not sure where they get the idea to put that stuff in front of us on Facebook, but I'm getting two suggestions from groups. I am a part of a group that is Southern Oregon history, just
Mhm.
history here locally. And I think I've asked you about it. You're a member of a similar group for the Miami area,
Yeah.
right? And I think what they have done is they've looked at the other places where I used to live when I had Facebook and found Northern Nevada around the Reno area because I'm getting stuff from that area too. They're suggesting me pages there. And when I lived there, I was interested, but I no longer live there. I'm more focused on here than there. It's cool, but I just don't want to follow that anymore. But they make it to where you can't unfollow that. They make it to where you can't stop them from suggesting that.
Yeah.
And that is one of my problems with this whole thing. YouTube is the same way. You can say, don't show me that channel anymore. And you may not see it for a year, but it'll come back.
Yeah.
You can say, I'm not interested in this, and you won't see it for a while, but it'll probably come back. They've started this thing on YouTube where you've got a list of interest up above right next to the search bar on the homepage. And it's showing the various things that they think you're interested in. So if you look up there, it'll be like military history, woodworking, um, imaging software, things like that.
Yeah.
But there's no way to get up there and shut that off. There's no way to change or eliminate any of those categories.
Hmm.
So, Lord help you if you click on something that is interesting. Maybe you see some guy in Japan carving something, and it's just like, oh, that's interesting. And you watch that one. Now, all of a sudden, well, you clicked it, you must be interested in it. And now your suggestive feed's going to be loaded with that stuff. And there's no way to get rid of that subject. You might be able to get rid of individual channels and you might be able to say no to individual videos, but you can't get rid of that subject.
Yeah.
And that's my complaint about all of this. Because
Well,
Facebook's the
you
same
know,
way, Instagram is the same way. You know, all of them, they're exactly the same. Once they think you're interested in something, they're going to flood you with it.
well, um, for a long time we were, and other people, but we have touched on it where we talk about they're trying to manipulate, um, or another way of saying it is that they're creating habits or they're viewing our habits in
Mhm.
order to sell us stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the
that's in
bottom
order to
line.
push advertising. Make no mistake, this is a fact. Internet and television and radio is there for advertising. That's its
Yeah,
sole purpose for being.
yeah, yeah.
So,
So it's sort of like there's that revolving, but they also are honing in
mhm,
on people's particulars,
mhm,
and they can cater an experience that keeps you locked in. I mean, it's been
yep,
talked about a lot,
mhm,
that keeps you locked in so they can then go ahead and push those ads and whatnot. So,
and target those ads towards you.
exactly.
You
So,
know, if they know you're looking at woodworking tools, you're going to find a lot of DeWalt advertisements, and you're going to find a lot of Milwaukee advertisements and things of that nature.
yeah,
But every once in a while, you know, they it's not quite the Nigerian prince where they just do a shotgun approach and email a million people. They know they're not going to get a million replies, but if they get one, it worked. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
so it's not quite like that, but I'm not going to get advertisements for women's shoes or oil painting supplies or things of that nature because I'm not watching that kind of stuff. They know how to target me. And it works. It's effective. If it wasn't effective, if it didn't work, they wouldn't do it.
yeah. Um, so, and if you think of those, I don't know if it's, but it's so like if you think of those, when they put animals in some sort of cage, it could be monkeys or whatever,
Yeah.
and then they have to perform certain tasks, and when they do, they get like some food or like
Mhm.
whatever. And that's how you train animals anyhow. Like if you know how it is, every time um, your doggy does something that you want him to do, you reinforce that behavior
You reward him.
using
Yeah.
the verbal signal and stuff. And humans are also accustomed to, they get into a cycle
Hmm.
of behavior, and they lock into that, and
Yep.
they repeat that cycle over and over. um, so I can say that I go to the internet
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah.
I check the same things that I always check. um, and so even though I think that I'm doing it of my free will,
Hmm.
and that might be true up until this point, but beyond this point, there's also another participant in that that's algorithmically
Right.
feeding you stuff to to get you to continue that cycle, which produces for them the ability to push forward in the aggregate, me alone, I'm probably for actually selling or purchasing stuff, I'm probably the worst. But in the aggregate,
Mm-hmm.
because I see a lot of cool stuff, and maybe it's most people, I don't know. And it's like you said, it's the one out of the how many that actually purchase it makes it worth it for them in a percentage wise. But I probably probably most people, but I see a bunch of stuff that I'd love to, get
Oh,
my
me
hands on
too.
it. But I'm not gonna purchase every doohickey. Like
Hmm.
I love those. The idea of those virtual reality goggles. Love
Hmm.
it. Um, but in a sense, well, in a very real, I'm not gonna purchase jack squat. However, watching people using it vicariously is still a thrill.
You know what? See, I can agree with you on something like that because I'm doing the same thing with movie reactions and music reactions. Yes, I watch a couple of channels, and if I have like 10 minutes to kill, I'll sit and I'll watch a real quick one or something like that because it's mindless entertainment. I don't have to think. But
Yeah.
it's also living vicariously through others in that I can't go back and relive the first time I hear a tune, but I can enjoy somebody else hearing it for the first time,
Yeah.
you know? So there is a little bit of that to it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, remember when you would take an album over to a friend's house and you knew this killer solo was coming up and you just sit there and look at them to get their reaction. What do you think of that, man? That was cool. That was badass. It's
Yeah.
kind of that feeling all over again.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to watch these reactions. You know, now's a good as time as any. I want to inject this and just put it out there. But I'll say it. I'll introduce it this way to give it a twist. For the last, I guess, few years, but really, yeah, for the last few years, I've really been able to not only understand it in myself, which is kind of a little bit more hard to do because you accept a lot from yourself, but not as much from others.
Mhm.
But a little bit from myself, and especially when I see it driving by. Um, when people leap to assumptions um, based on where they lean in the way they see the world and create all these huge conspiracies um, that just snowball and it just gets more and more. But through through those leaps of conspiracies or scenarios,
Mhm.
there's no adequate checking on themselves or putting out there some counterbalance by saying X, Y, and Z because of X, Y, and Z and this and that. It's just I kind of like the meme. All you get is a meme that suggests something roundabout.
Mhm.
People are supposed to interpret it roughly how you interpret it or are trying to say using the meme. It's almost hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
Even if a meme has words, even if a meme has words, I mean, it depends on the subject and this and that. It's still not even it's not a paragraph. It's not a summary of a it's not a paragraph. It's not even a little a haiku. It could be
Mhm.
a haiku. It's not even so. There, the information laid out is um, the participant reading it is required to look at the image, the qualifications that are occurring in the image to draw a conclusion in your mind, and then there might be some words. It could be a direct one, but let's say broadly. But
Mhm.
here's the thing: that's not sufficient,
Mm-mm.
nor does it address the issues in every person's mind that reads that meme it's good as what it is. It's a pamphlet, or it's a concert poster on this, or a lost dog, or I need a bandmate that plays guitar at a guitar. It's no more than, it's actually, it's even worse than that, because at least the band, I'm looking for a bassist that's posted up on a thing. At least it has the name of the band many times,
Yeah.
the ages of the thing. It gives you actual information that you can
Mhm.
actually say, oh, okay, well, this might be for me or not, and the directions, as we live in this part of Miami or
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Imagine your grandmother's recipe box, but there's no recipe written. It's just a picture of a plate of food,
right.
and she just knows how to make it. But here's a picture of, oh, okay, it's this pork and it's that
Yeah.
vegetable and it's that side dish. She knows how to make it all. She just needs reminding on what I'm gonna have this for dinner this
That's
tonight.
exactly a
But
perfect.
there's no recipe.
Exactly. So, you know, so the memes and stuff. That aside, and by the way, I participate in look, it's a human thing, but if you, from my standpoint, if you oftentimes go to leaps and bounds, and by the way, I will say this, we have touched upon, because I've instigated it in the past, topics about the flat earth, alien or lizard people,
Mhm.
and other like scenarios in the
Yeah.
world of conspiracy. I have mentioned at the time, because I'm very aware of it, and I
Mhm.
hope you remember, but I think you will, because I stated it.
Mhm.
Whether or not I pushed it too far or not is another question. But I do that often, as you very well know. Um, the reason for me to introducing those crazy things was, well, number one, I ran across it and found it, strange, but primarily is to bounce it off of you to see if I can find holes, or if you can find holes or overcome objections as to what's being laid out as a thing, and to see how that works out dynamically, not because of the thing itself, but because this thing itself is a little obstacle course
Mhm.
for the use of two people's or more people's brains,
Mhm.
to see how they run the laps around that course, and how many pit stops they have to take, and this and that, because psychologically, how do human beings deal with X, Y, and Z? Okay, that's kind of the more important part than whether or not aliens from Zanzibar 5000 arrived here in the 1960s, because we're never going to know that really.
Yeah.
um, but whatever. And so in that, I might stretch the bounds, and I know I have. But with the Trump thing that happened, the assassination attempt, which is what I wanted to touch on, because I don't want to, be flippant and or avoiding it. So I just wanted to mention, because it is an American thing. I believe this thing is already one of the most iconic, or that's even a bad word, memorable or infamous, whatever the word will be. It's not going to be forgotten ever, as long as there's a United States, as long as there's a humanity. This moment and all the conditions surrounding it that led up to it, disconnected or connected that they may be, just the series of events and the things that occurred leading up to all this is so, you couldn't write a movie um, out of your imagination that good. I mean, I'm saying that a little bit tongue in cheek, but because it's so outrageously crazy. And I just wanted to point out that I couldn't believe it. It's still shocking to me to this point right now. And the behavior of people, which they have their right to do, in my opinion, goes from one extreme to the other along all sorts of categories that they may or may not be leaning on as a thing, but not many times based on just pure fact, but fact, and me too, because we're human, but
Yeah.
facts, or or assumptions mixed in with some facts, and then preference, all that together, it's like a terrible Jello, fruitcake Jello or whatnot, um, of uncertainty, and so you get all the conspiracy. So this is going to be one of those things, I believe, that will be sort of kind of like the Kennedy
Mm.
assassination. I think that it will, it has the potential to easily to further the conspiracy world along. Now, notice what I said, to further the conspiracy and everything I said before it. Some people listening now or later or sometime in the future, if at that, might even use that I just said, leap assumptions as to what I pre already believe
Mhm.
without me offering it, because they stitch together information, and then they leapfrog in
Mhm.
their mind. Oh, so he's saying that, so that must mean that he thinks this and that.
Yeah.
But they have no proof of that. They're just assuming and filling in the blanks based on where I'm deciding to focus. And so the whole thing is this: communication. We saw the video. The bullet missed by that much because he turned his head. That's eerie. I can't believe it. It's so one moment and then right through, because he turned with his normal thing. The whole thing is weird as hell.
Yeah.
Very weird. But I can't sit here and say one thing or the other for sure. But conspiracies will continue to go. And I'm not knocking that conspiracy to the level that some people are saying might be. I'm not saying no, and I'm not saying yes. I'm saying I frickin' don't know. It already looks bad. It doesn't look, if I let my imagination go, it looks like I want to go in the direction of those son of a guns that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I personally have that tendency to distrust the
Mhm.
powers that be. But since I know that, and I only, the true thing is what you get as far as information, I'm not going to make that leap. Although, if I allow myself, I go right there.
Yeah.
I
It's
jump on
easy to
that
do.
horse. I
It's
jump
easy to
right
do.
on. Yes, yes. I'm telling you, I personally would get on that horse and ride down that frickin'. Yes, I know it.
Yeah.
I've had to actually control myself in these past 2 days, and I think, no, I'm going to be rational about this. I know what I'm seeing. I know what's being flung in my face, and I know the emotion that I'm feeling, because I was really pissed and shocked.
Mhm.
But I'm sitting here in Sweetwater. But the consequences are pretty savage. Um, so nothing. I just wanted to say that it's just unbelievable. I still can't believe it, and so I'm very cautious.
There are some conspiracies that are never going to go away. Conspiracy theories. And that's mainly because so much has happened and so much time has passed. A lot of information has been lost. Memories get fuzzy. I mean, you get three people talking about something that happened 10 years ago, you're going to get three different stories, and they were all in the same room.
Yeah.
But they'll argue about who said this and who said that, and which one of you got up to get a glass of water.
Oh yeah.
They'll argue about that till their dying day
Yeah.
without an accurate account immediately at the time. We'll never know. And it's real easy for us to look back in hindsight and say, this wasn't there, that wasn't there, this was there, that was there, this person wasn't there, this person wasn't there. But we're not there on the ground reacting at the moment. We don't know, you
Yeah.
know?
We're not. I had this conversation with someone at some point, typing it out in back and forth. I remember the. I'll leave what it was to the side, but the premise.
Mhm.
It's like the difference between, and this is to enforce what you just said, someone going to a movie they want to see,
Mm-hmm.
watching it with their popcorn and the soda and this and that, their experience is this finished product here. But they don't know the behind the scenes of the actors, the catering, the
Mm-hmm.
director, the contracts
Yep.
that had to be signed with the actors, the agents, and everything that came to that built what you're now seeing a final product of. The moral of it, or the comparable, is that we see what's being flung in our faces on the screen about this event, and people chattering,
Yeah.
and many times they're being reasonable in, or they're theorizing. So I'm not suggesting they're theorizing, and some of the stuff is just like this is the reporting, but we don't know. Just like you said, a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm here, you're over there in Oregon, and I'm here in Miami. I mean, and we see this screen, so
But
we don't know.
here's an important thing to remember, and this dovetails in with your movie reference. We see the finished movie. We don't even see the stuff that was cut out and left on the cutting room floor.
That's right.
We don't even see that.
Yeah,
We see the edited version. What we're seeing now is the unedited version.
yeah,
We're seeing all this stuff, all the mistakes. We're seeing all the bloopers. We're seeing all the bad microphones. We're seeing all the wrong camera angles. We're seeing all of the lighting guy hit the wrong switch and the lights went out, or the lights went super bright, or something like that, or somebody flubbed the line. We're seeing all that crap. We're not seeing the polished final product rather, and we never will, unless somebody collates it, puts it all together into one cohesive point A to point B type of a report or documentary or whatever. And no matter how well they do it, no matter what topic you pick, this is the case. This is always going to be the case. There is going to be somebody who says, I don't believe that. I don't believe that part of it.
yeah,
Because, and they may have several valid reasons not to believe it,
yeah.
but you're always going to have doubters. You're always going to have naysayers. And you're always going to have people that have some other agenda off to the side.
Let me interject this. So let me set it up for you. It's not a big deal, but it kind of is interesting. Um, there's a director that he's from Miami.
Mhm.
Um, not a Cuban guy, but he grew up around Cubans, so he's damaged forever. Um,
Well, that's messed up.
well, he has the Miami. He's very Miami. Um, and he's a director. He's a young guy, or roughly young, within the
Younger than us.
slightly.
Hmm.
Um, he moved up to Gainesville
Hmm.
and then came back down. I don't know this and that, but anyways, he produced like a 6 to 8 series episodic,
Hmm.
uh, the story of the Falcone brothers,
Hmm.
Willie Falcone and Sal Maguda,
Hmm.
two Cuban guys from the exile community that came over when they were babies
Hmm.
and became the biggest drug dealers in the United States of America.
Hmm.
And there's a whole story about that. And it was just wild. And this guy directed and produced this series that went on Netflix. Um, and it's just a fantastic. I can see, I've seen that twice because I'm looking at the same neighborhoods and this, not here, but like broadly Dade County,
Hmm.
especially Miami. But Westchester's in there too. Um, and you get like a sense of like what was going on in the drug world,
Hmm.
which when I was a little kid walking around as a preteen, all that stuff was going on, and I had no clue what was happening. So whatever.
Yeah.
He also produced. This is a little touchy, but I'll just be brief with it. Um, a series on a situation that occurred where a woman. There was a film of a woman being accosted at the extreme level of
Hmm.
accosted, and he made a documentary by after the fact to see what happened and how did it lead up to this and that. Well, here's the thing: they produced that, and they had like family members sit down,
Hmm.
and the counter people sit down. Here's the thing: this is going to what you said about the last thing that you said about what's left on the cutting room floor and this and that, and it's also to pointed at what you said about if you ask people that have seen the movie, one will say, "No, I don't believe that part." Okay,
Hmm.
so this is kind of like to reiterate that in this way. They showed the movie that the documentary that they produced to various people. The first one they showed it to, the person came out of the room and said, "I am disgusted. I can't believe I even sat and watched that. It's horrible what they did to her, and I can't. This. I'm just outraged." Like he really was.
Yeah.
But then he sent it out to other people, and he got other responses. She she was totally lying,
Hmm.
and other people said, "Well, no, this, and that." And in the it, with all the people that saw it, he was surprised that some people seeing the same information came to totally different conclusions.
Right.
And so, this is anecdotal, but it's not anecdotal. It is anecdotal, but there's many other examples of people viewing one incident and coming away with different particulars.
Yeah.
You may think, not you, but like broadly speaking,
Uh-huh.
that in something like this Trump thing, like I watched it, I've seen the clips,
Hmm.
but here's the thing: just like we talk about in various, my mind versus your mind or somebody else's mind is a universe unto itself, and you're capturing information and filing it away
Hmm.
in particular ways that might nudge certain little factoids, little facts or little points of reference in slightly one category or the other, and however it might be, that may cause, depending on the content of it,
Hmm.
us to reach different conclusions totally, even though we're watching the same imagery pop up.
Yeah. 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 I mean, different people. That's the problem with perception. And that's one of the reasons why eyewitnesses are some of the most unreliable sources, is because exactly that thing. You, two people witness event, you're going to get two completely different accounts. Everything from the color of the car is completely different to one of them says it was a station wagon and the other says it was a pickup truck. You know, you're going to get different stories because people pay attention to different things. They
Yeah,
catch different nuances. They have different preconceived notions and they have different leanings, both
yeah,
psychologically as well as um, societal or spiritual or political or whatever way you want to break it down,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. The video, the video of the attempt
Hmm.
to further point that out that you just said, which is crazy, and it's not crazy, it's absolute, but it's crazy me thinking on it.
Hmm.
Here's the thing: when I saw it,
Hmm.
my first and only focus for the first few times by a lot
Hmm.
was Trump. Him turning, what he was saying, the sound when shots occurred, and his head moving, and boy, how did that like that? But I kept seeing that, and every time I'd see it, that's what I'd see. But here's what I wasn't focused on, which I later did focus on. There's a crowd right behind him. There's people guarding him off to the sides.
Hmm.
The video is capturing all that. What are they doing as that's happening?
Yeah.
I didn't pay attention to none of that at first.
Nope.
I was just looking at Trump every time. But there's more information in that. But my mind went to the subject.
Well, how many times have you seen the Sabruder film of the JFK assassination?
I've seen it
And
a
what
handful of times.
are you looking at? You're
At
looking at
Kennedy,
him. You're not looking at the people behind on the street. You're not looking at the driver of the car. You're not looking at the the other people in the vehicle. You're not looking at the vehicle. You're looking at him. That's human nature. You know, if a car overturns on the freeway, you're not looking at the other traffic. You're looking at that car.
right,
You know, if there's a house on fire in your neighborhood, you're not looking at the neighbors. You're looking at that house. I mean, that's just human nature.
right. So now, if somebody comes to you, because I had this incident occur incident, I had this happen. If somebody says something to you,
Mhm.
something sensitive of the nature that this is, or like of importance, and this is a human being, obviously, apart from the fact that he was a president of the United States just recently, and he's touring.
Yeah.
Um, if somebody says something to you, and or says something, and you're not sure about it, um, you can keep quiet. You can ignore it. You could also ask about it, which is what I sometimes do. And I asked for a specific bit of information that was claimed.
Mhm.
By me asking, there was an assumption placed that, well, if I would watch the right news, I would come across it. And I looked at that and I said, this is not good form. This is not good
It's
form.
also not true.
Well, it's not true because I take in multiple sources,
Mhm.
um, and I already have my predetermined bias towards certain mainstream media anyhow.
Me
So
too.
I know the level of, but that's not the point. The point is that if I ask you for a cup of tea while visiting your home, and then you create this narrative that avoids the actual specific,
Yeah.
well, over here we do Folgers, and this is, I mean, that could be part of it, but um, and you don't hand me tea, you hand me, I don't know, Jello.
Hmm.
When a person flat out says X, Y, and Z, I need this information,
Hmm.
the reply isn't,
Should be
this is,
about that or information. It should be about that information. And
it
if you
should be,
don't know, shut up.
it should be about that information, but it shouldn't assume. You could do,
Mhm.
you could toss in assumptions, but that's pulling the trigger, no pun intended, um way before, if you're trying to make judgment calls about a person,
Yeah.
you're supposed to either deny, say you don't know, or offer the information asked for.
And if you don't know, keep your mouth shut.
That's an option as well.
Hmm.
But here's the thing, that's just one example, and it was all
Yeah.
innocent, roughly.
And that happens all over the place. I mean, I'm members of several groups on Facebook, and it never ceases to amaze me. I don't know why I say that, because I am surprised at times. Somebody will say, "Hey guys, I have this, and this. I want to do this. And the first 30 replies to that question are going to be various ways of how to get along without it.
Right.
Or, no, you got the wrong thing to begin with. You should do this. And it's like, did you read what I posted? If you don't have information about this, and this, why are you even chiming in?
So that's the thing. Um, it's normal, and I do that sort of thing too. Jump the gun, let's say, and begin to assume. Yes, I do it too, because we fall into the category of human beings. But I know, or I am self-aware that that potential is always there with me, and that fact alone, recognizing it, I do better lately than I had in the past. At least allows me to say, okay, I really am in this direction about what this means, this event means. However, I really don't know
Mhm.
the whole scenario. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and be cautious with it, because
Yeah.
my goal, and it may never happen, as you said, we may never know, as you said, that's
Mhm.
true too. But at least on a sliding scale, you kind of sort of have a rough estimate of the
Well,
direction of things that's reasonable, and it's maybe the best you can hope for. But that's different than leaping at every single thing that's offered you.
but we're so good at that.
And we're good at that, though. We all are.
Yeah, we all are. And I don't care what subject it is. I asked you one time, you were talking about a Cubano sandwich. And I asked you what was in it. And you went down the list and you told me, well, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this, and this. That gave me the information I needed. You didn't tell me about your trip to the Everglades
Yeah.
and how, no, you have to come to Miami and experience it. You can't there's no other place to get a Cuban sandwich than right here.
Yeah.
Now, you might think that, and that may be your opinion.
Yeah.
You might think that a Cuban sandwich in Tampa sucks. You got to come to Miami. That may be your opinion, but you didn't do that. You told me, well, it's this kind of bread, it's these kind of meats, it's this, pickle, and it's this mustard. And you went down the list and you gave me the information.
Yeah.
That's a discussion.
Yeah. That's
Telling me
deliberate.
how to get along without it is not,
Now,
you know.
to be fair, though,
Mhm,
when I'm going to make one key point, like let's say
mhm,
a key point pops into my head,
mhm,
and you know this because you know this after 300 or 290, um, the information pops in, or the
mhm,
scenario pops into my head or whatever. But then I step back, and I have this whole tapestry of things
mhm,
that lead up to it. It's kind of like, here's the thing, and then I go, "Whirr," and I
mhm.
see this whole trail of things, and then I proceed to go forward until I reach that thing in order to create. It's using rhetoric, I guess, in order to unfold a narrative, or a story
Mhm.
that reaches that goal. Obviously, I don't, and I don't know where that comes from. It's almost like, I don't know. It's
Whoa!
almost like, go ahead, because I
I'll tell you after we're done.
no.
Just I got
Oh,
startled. Go ahead.
you got startled.
Yeah, don't worry about it. That's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, I hope you don't forget,
I won't.
because that can happen.
Yeah.
It happens to me.
Oh, it sure can.
Um,
Speaking of forgetting, and I'm sorry to interrupt you in midstream. Um, and after I did all the praising for our north of the border friends, now he shows up late. So what he's going to have to do is go back and see what I said nice about Canada.
We need a blackboard, and Jim will have to stay after class, and
Uh-huh.
right, Jim will not be late again.
Not without a note. Hell no.
Um, but I haven't sat through why I do that. It just, I'm compelled to do it. It's natural for me.
Hmm.
That's the broad answer. But here's the thing: as I'm walking you towards the answer
Hmm.
of that thing, of that story or whatever the point,
Hmm.
I'm being as honest with the scenario as I can. I'm just giving this tapestry. I'm trying. I'm sincerely walking, but I'm not even doing that for the listener. It's for the listener and my sake,
Yeah.
as I'm saying it, because I'm recounting the situation
And
and saying,
trying to get it straight in your brain before you can give an answer. I do that all the time.
yeah. So, and I'll do that out loud, and
Mhm.
I'm leading the way towards the,
Well,
the little cottage in the woods.
you were
Let's,
talking about having those internal or external dialogues with yourself. I do that all the time.
yeah.
I mean, my neighbors used to think I was nuts. They have since moved, but when I was getting ready to record a video, I would pace back and forth on our front deck. We got a 12 by 24 deck out there, and I would pace back and forth, kind of rehearsing to myself what I wanted to say, the best way to say it, how I'm going to say it, because I don't write out a script. Because if I read a script, it sounds like I'm reading a script. I can't do that. I can't read auto cue or teleprompter, whatever you want to call it. I can't read a script because I suck at it. It sounds really, really bad. So I do have those external dialogues with myself. And a lot of times I'm figuring it out in my brain, processing it in my brain before I come to the conclusion. And I can say, yes, it's this, this, and this.
I guess
So,
it's part of the process, but just to, I guess, bookend the what happened over the weekend. So it's ripe for conspiracy theories.
oh, big time.
Um, but it's obvious to me that it appears to me at best, on the far side of the better side of it, I guess, as a certain amount of incompetence at best,
Mm-hmm.
of like really incompetence, because I grew up in a world, my America, which we share
Mm-hmm.
key points such as Red Dawn and cultural things and music and this and that. But my America, from my vantage point in my brain, this apparent incompetence was unheard of. If you have agents, they're not playing games. Yes, there could be a scenario where the theme or the narrative was competence.
Mm-hmm.
That was the theme. Whether or not that's a pretend thing because of the culture in this, I get that. I understand. But I'm saying that that has stuck with me. And then seeing this apparent incompetence to me from
See,
my
I
perspective.
can't even make that leap because I don't know.
No, no, no. I don't know. I'm saying to me it
Mm-hmm.
appears that way.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I to me it appears that way. You understand? I just saw a roach crawling down there.
That's what startled me because that's two. I
Yeah.
think they're either if I don't know if it was the same one or if they're drag racing, but that's what startled me earlier. I was like, whoa, not I'm not going to embarrass him about it.
Um. Oh no, we have palmetto bugs, which is what those are.
Yeah, it's funny. You call them palmetto bugs. I call them Alabama racehorses. You could throw a saddle on that some bitch and ride.
Yeah. Um. So I'm not saying, but notice what I'm saying. I'm not saying,
I
hey,
know.
absolutely, it just appears incompetent. And in fact, there's a video of one of the agents
Yeah.
fumbling, trying to. I don't know if you even ran across that, fumbling, putting back their weapon into their holster. It was a charged moment, obviously, but the narrative that's being, along with the images and just the calculation one makes in one's head,
Mhm.
without it, just appears at best uber incompetence. On the flip side of the extreme of that, we go into Zapruder film um, levels of questions.
Mhm.
Okay, so there's that scale from incompetence, because smooth, it wasn't smooth. Uh, I don't think I don't think it makes no sense. But in any event, I'm willing to say from incompetence, or just, what's the word,
Well, anyway.
just human error.
Hmm.
But again, from my perspective, in terms of,
Well, not just your perspective, because I've heard that from several people.
yeah, I'm not the there's a truckload of people, but maybe there's points that one, and then, oh, okay, this and that. But yeah, and then the other extreme would be conspiracy nation.
Hmm.
Just the fact that that window was opened up by the events that took place, um, affects a lot. Affects a lot in terms of, people's perception of the
Hmm.
politics of the situation, this and that. So I'll just end it with saying that, this was a massive thing, and I'm still shocked by it, especially the close call of
Hmm.
it. It's just it's just,
Yep.
and I just wanted to mention it because, I mean, we're here doing this live, and it'll be here, at least something was said about it. Um, but frankly, we only know what we're told, so,
Yeah.
and what we see. But
And that's a profound point to make. You only know what they're telling you.
yeah,
You know. And I mean everybody. Don't care what source. You
let's kill him
only know.
live. Let's kill him live.
Uh oh, we're bug hunting. Uh oh. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. Oh, it's worse than that. He's dead, Jim.
Actually, he might not be, because he was hiding.
You
But
mean to tell me with that big old flip flop you missed? Oh man.
no, I slapped the camcorder, which I shouldn't have done, but I did.
Well,
There's more where that came from, waiting outside.
keep swinging. The draft might give him a cold. Oh man, it's going to be one of those days. I'm telling one of those evenings. I'm punchy as hell. I'm tired. I'm very tired. I'm punchy as hell, and the weirdest things are funny to me. And that was one of them right there.
Let me put some, I'm gonna put some
Alcohol.
alcohol on my hand.
Well, you didn't actually touch it, did you?
Yeah, but I don't like them so much that even a
Oh, okay.
third degree contact, just,
So you're washing your hands with alcohol. Is that because of the bug or because you picked up your flip flop?
no, because of just the idea of the but. So I really don't like those creatures. But in Florida, it is what it is. They're
Yeah.
they're gonna get in.
Hmm. Yep.
Um, when I was a kid visiting my aunt's house, my grand aunt, I was little, and I don't know what, just playing around, I opened the closet door,
Mm-hmm.
in the living room, pantry, closet, whatever. And when I opened it, a freaking palmetto bug flew because they fly
Mm-hmm.
right landed here, and I'm a little kid, and I was like,
And when
ah,
you're that little, they're the size of a frickin' watermelon, or they appear to be anyway.
yeah, and so just that traumatized me, dude.
Went to go. We had just gotten to Hawaii, and we were looking for apartments, and we looked at a couple. And one of them, I opened up a closet door in one of the bedrooms, and it was like showtime. There was like 16 of them. Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling, my little ragtime gal. That kind of thing. Doing a soft shoe off to the side, and I'm like, close the door. Let's go look at another one. It's like, wow.
Yeah, dude, they're pretty. I mean, and we have all sorts of creatures here. Obviously, we're in Florida,
Mhm.
but now, due to all the different developments and um, under the street drainage,
Yeah.
we have all sorts of creatures that are using that as a highway.
Oh yeah.
And before we didn't have that,
Yeah.
so it was actually a little bit more refined. Now we have all sorts of iguanas, weird type of lizards, all sorts of creatures,
Oh
possums
yeah.
everywhere. It's just become wild, wild kingdom, dude.
Well, you're in that climate the same as Hawaii was, where all of these critters get introduced and they can live in the climate. They're fine with it. I mean, chameleons are not native to Hawaii, but they're all over the place there. There is a big thing. There are two things that are absolutely forbidden to import into Hawaii. One of them is rodents, hamsters, gerbils, mice, guinea pigs, things like that. You cannot bring one into the state at all. And the other is snakes. And you guys have the python problem down there.
It's been
But
around for decades now.
yeah, and there is an island, I want to say it's Guam, it may be Guam, that snakes were introduced over there, got out into the wild, and have basically decimated the bird population. Just totally destroyed it. And there are several bird species that went extinct just because these snakes accidentally made it out into the wild. And so, I mean, they are manic about it. You even attempt to bring in a snake or any kind of a rodent, and you're just going to prison. That's all there is to it. You know, and the animal is destroyed, and that's it. No ifs, ands, no buts. No messing around.
Yeah, they can't control nature.
No, they can't. Um, Rats got over there on board ships and started taking over. They have brought them kind of sort of under control, not really, but they're not as bad as they used to be. And somebody got the bright idea. This is what happens when you dick around with nature, man. Just leave nature alone. They got the bright idea of let's bring a mongoose over and release them, and they'll eat the rats. They're predatory. They'll eat the rats.
Are they like foxes,
Mongoose? No, they're kind
ferret,
of they're similar to a ferret, similar to a uh,
fox?
no, it's not a canine. Oh man, when they turn white in the winter, they call them an ermine, not a mink, but a oh man, I can't think of what they're called. They're I know a young one is called a stoat. Man, I can't think of what it is called. We have them here. Weasel. Thank you, Jim Dockrell. Oh my God, weasel. They're similar to a weasel,
I'm looking at it now just to. Oh, okay.
and but the problem with it is rats are nocturnal and mongooses are diurnal. So it's kind of like, I don't know if you remember the old Warner Brothers cartoons where you had the the uh, the sheepdog and the coyote meeting up at the tree. Morning, Sam, and they're punching in. Morning, Sam. Morning,
Yeah,
Ralph. You know,
yeah.
off to the coyote is now going to try to steal the sheep, and the guard dog is going to try to beat up the coyote. That's kind of what they do. They pass each other because one's going to bed while the other's getting up. You know, didn't work out. So now they have rats and they have mongooses all fighting over the same garbage. So
Wow.
it's just, you know what? Leave nature alone.
But creatures do migrate with humans. That is part of the deal.
Yeah. And that's part of the problem.
Yeah, I mean, um, that's been going on forever.
There is record of a particular bird that was found on this little island, and the British set up a lighthouse on this island. And one of the lighthouse tenders brought his cat. It was the only cat on the island. And these birds had no predators. So they were not afraid of anything or anybody.
I don't like the story you did tell me before because I don't like the.
And this cat was single handedly responsible for wiping out that entire species.
He was a little Hitler, that cat.
He caught and killed every example of that species of bird. That's the only record of a single, I guess you'd say, individual being responsible for destroying an entire species within a span of about 4 years. So,
You know what's funny? This is a cat story. So when I used to work out in the Everglades, we'd work from 8 to about 8 or
mhm,
5:30, 6 o'clock, something like that. Just as the sun was coming down,
mhm,
and I'd get home many times because you're on the boat under the sun, back and forth all day long. By the time you get home, what you want to do is shower and eat and basically go to bed.
yeah,
But sometimes I didn't make it. Sometimes I'd get home,
mhm,
I'd open the door, close it behind me, sit on the bed, and watch TV, and I just conk out. And the next thing I know, it's 6 in the morning again. I didn't eat, I didn't shower, none of it.
yeah,
One night, afternoon,
mhm.
I walk in with my uniform. Obviously, you know, I walk in. I didn't close the door. I just walked in and I was so exhausted. I just laid on the bed for a moment. The door was open, and I'm like, oh. And then all of a sudden, the local cat in the area came in because I had left the door open,
Yeah.
jumped on the bed. It wasn't my cat, it was just the local cat in the area. And I knew it was there, but I was so tired. I was like, what are you doing, man? Have you ever been that tired where you're just like, well, it walked up to me. I'm laying on my back. It walked up to me right here
Mhm.
and it plonked on my chest as if it stuck the flag on top of the hill and
Yeah.
said, and I looked at it. It was looking at me, and I went. The next morning,
uh,
I wake up. The cat is still sleeping on my. I slept the whole night
in that
with
one
the cat
position.
in that same position, and the cat was still sleeping. I could not believe I didn't eat. I didn't. I was still in my uniform, for goodness sake. That's how exhausted
Yeah.
one
I
would get.
I believe it. I believe it because I've worked out in the sun all day. I know what that's like. Now, I can't say that I can relate to sitting up on that platform driving an airboat, but I've worked out in the sun all day long and it takes a lot out of you. I mean, it'll drain every ounce of strength you got. Did you ever get home and not remember driving home?
I don't know about that, but
I did that a couple of times when I was working construction when I was younger. It's just so worn out that when you get home, sitting in the driveway and shut it off, shit, I don't remember the drive home.
You're just so darn tired.
Yeah, you know, that's scary. That's a scary thought because it's like, did anything happen? Did I cause an accident behind me that I'm not aware of? That's some scary stuff.
One time, there was this. We used to, as kids, we used to practice in this um across the railroad tracks on Bird Road. There was this whole area that was like warehouses attached to offices,
Mm-hmm.
and they pretty much all look the same. It's just a whole area tucked away here in Miami
Mm-hmm.
that if you don't have business going in that inside that area, there's one road that swishes in
Mm-hmm.
or bends into that. It crosses the railroad tracks, and then after a slightly lengthy little singular one way this way, one way that way, 2 lane
Mm-hmm.
road, you make a turn at the end. There's a lake, and then there's this huge, vast ocean of buildings with just they all look the same. And we used to practice back there because a friend of ours' father owned one of those warehouses,
Mm-hmm.
and upstairs there was our practice room,
Mm-hmm.
and so we'd rock and roll over there. And during that time, he had a friend or had met someone that in an adjacent warehouse
Mm-hmm.
that was basically a stuffed toy distributor
Oh, okay.
or seller. And one time he needed help, nobody was available, the seller, and so my name got tossed up. There was a huge rig with its container
Mm-hmm.
packed to the doors
Mm-hmm.
with boxes full of teddy bears.
Mm-hmm.
And I got paid, I don't know if $100, I don't know what and my job was to empty out the whole truck.
Mm-hmm.
And as a kid, and I went in and did the work, and I went until I reached the end, and it took like the sun was going down. And dude, that was one of the most, even though they were light,
Mm-hmm.
if you do hundreds and hundreds of
Yeah.
them. And when I got home, dude, I was a wreck, dude.
Yeah.
Hurting. I'll never forget that. It felt satisfying, but I was drained to the max. That was one of the times that I was the most drained ever,
Yeah.
that I can remember. And I actually ended up working for him selling teddy bears on corners. I've
Hey,
even I've even done that. It's insane.
hey, money's money, you know. So,
Do you,
and
do
when
you
you're,
do you see that in your area? Um, Corner things where they sell.
in fact, we've got a county ordinance that it you can do it as a pedestrian for other pedestrians, but you are forbidden. It is forbidden to pass anything between car and pedestrian, exchange any kind of items. So you don't have the people on the corner with roses trying to sell the people driving by, sell a rose to your date or something like that. And they
Yeah.
say it's to cut down on drug sales. But, so no,
But
we don't see that much. We used to see a lot of fruit stands, but we don't see that much anymore.
but back then, maybe you'll understand it as this. What he would do is he would pay a business
Mm-hmm.
$50 or whatever the case,
Mm-hmm.
so he could set up, like, let's say a gas station. He'd pay the
Yeah.
gas station, and you'd set up on the corner of the gas station within
Mm-hmm.
its property,
Yeah.
and so cars would drive up, and as they pulled gas, they would also,
Mm-hmm.
during Valentine's or whatnot, buy their teddy bear for their loved one.
Used to see that a little bit, not a lot, but we have a local, it's a drive through coffee joint,
Yeah,
usually in supermarket parking lots or convenience store parking lots or sometimes gas station parking lots. It's
yeah.
called Dutch Brothers. They started in a little town about 25, 30 miles to the north of us, Grants Pass. And that's where they started. They had two easy ups, and they were out in a parking lot of a hardware store. And they paid the hardware store owner to let them set up out there, and they sold coffee. And it kind of just snowballed from there. And it
Yeah.
was two brothers. They were, I don't remember what their name is. It wasn't Dutch, but their parents were Dutch, had immigrated from Holland.
Right.
And so they just called themselves the Dutch Brothers, and that's how they started. And now they've got those little coffee joints all over the place. I think they're as far out as Texas. They're a big to do
Wow.
around here.
Well, there
But
used to be a lot of that, but I haven't seen
mhm,
the things I used to see. I don't see anymore as much or at all
mhm.
like that. There
Yeah,
used to be a real demand in this of certain things that no longer, and maybe it's a consequence of Amazon and such, but
it might be. Then again, it might be people just not thinking of it. Um, there is a guy down in Atlanta who started out. He bought a one of those bicycles that had the ice box on the front of it, and he got the idea. I want to sell popsicles out of this. So he came up with some recipes for, he calls them gourmet popsicles. And he made five or six flavors, and he made, five or six a piece of them. And he talked to this one gas station. Can I come down here, out here on the corner, on the intersection, and sell popsicles out here in your lot? And the gas station dude was like, yeah, go ahead. And so he did. And within about 2 hours, he sold out that first day.
yeah,
He did it for a couple of weeks. And finally, somebody questioned him on, do you have the permits? You're selling food, you're selling pre made food. Do
yeah.
you have the health department requirements and all this? And he's like, oh, crap. No, I didn't know I needed to do that. So he stopped doing it and got the permits. And what he made an arrangement, he got real popular. And then he was gone for a while. He got the permits. He came back, and people were like, "Oh, thank God! I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're back." And
That was you, right?
no, it wasn't me. The last I heard, this is down in Atlanta. The last I heard, this guy now has like 20 or 30 employees. He's making more popsicles than he knows what to do with. And it's become a big business based on that one little bicycle. And he still goes out to that same corner at that same gas station. He rents a little corner from the gas station owner,
And does that.
and he sells those. But he's got a bunch of other people on bicycles out doing the same thing, and
Well,
he's raking in good coin. He's making good money at it. I dig stories like that. I love stories like that.
I will tell you that this past 4th of July
Mm-hmm.
was the first Fourth of July ever
Mm-hmm.
in my life
Mm-hmm.
where the locals basically
Mm-hmm.
didn't shoot off fireworks.
Wow.
And that says a lot because that's an indulgence.
Well, there's fewer and fewer people in your neighborhood every day because of all the development, I'm sure. But
No,
still, the people
there's
who were there,
no, there's still, as far as I can see, all the whatever's developed is developed, but all the houses all around are the ones
yeah,
that usually. So that's not the thing. The thing is that the economy.
yeah,
It,
we noticed that too. There were fewer fireworks this year than there have been.
yeah, and that because people will splurge on that because it's a fun thing and
Yeah,
it's the 4th of July. And I first 4th of July Vigo doesn't get scared because there really wasn't anything to get scared about.
yeah,
And I thought to myself, wow.
yeah.
So it's caught up. So like when the pandemic was around,
Hmm.
the
Nothing.
the year after,
Mhm.
there was smoke clouds everywhere because
Yeah.
everybody was like happy. The year after it was less,
Mhm.
but now in this fourth year since the
Pandemic.
the guy that is in the house now, it seems like the chickens have come home to roost. People have to reallocate um, funds for the things that
Yeah.
they need to do, as opposed to that.
Yeah, Jim Dockrell says the dogs all got together and rerouted the shipments. Yeah, some of them are smart. Some of them are smart. Hijack the truck. These ain't sausages.
Yeah, but yeah, it is a crazy little metric because it's something
Well,
all my life
as you have less disposable income, it only makes sense. You're going to allocate it to what what's
you
really
need.
important. Yeah.
But again, it's like it's one of those things where you're like, wow. I
Mhm.
mean, the effect is the effect.
Yeah,
You know, the effect
absolutely.
is the effect. So
Absolutely. Well, I'm tired as heck. You about ready to land the plane?
yeah, we are gonna wrap it up because both of us have had long days doing the things that we do. But nothing. I enjoyed doing it and the topics that we touched on. Um, and we'll be back next week. By the way,
Hmm.
same channel at 6:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific Coast time. And this
I
is the
think you got that backwards.
6:30 9:30 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific Coast time.
Yeah, we're a little bit sleepy.
It's the Trampled Underfoot podcast show. We have a Facebook page as well as a website by the same name, trampledunderfootpodcast.com, and we're sponsored by.
Oh, I didn't hit the button quick enough. So let me go over here and hit the right button. Harneo Media. You know him. You love him. He's in the chat. You've chatted with him. He's a friend of yours. Do a brother a favor. Head over to harneomedia.com. There's a link in everything you'll find on this channel. And it's that way for a reason. He's that good. I'm serious. Very competitively priced. He'll help hook you up with an e-commerce site, set you up a web store, hook you up with a company that will help you design and create merch so you can get your t-shirt ideas, your baseball cap ideas, coffee mug ideas, all that good stuff. Put it out in front of the masses and start raking in the cash. You owe it to yourself to at least get over to harneomedia.com, click that contact us button, and give Steve a shout. He'll take care of you. That's Harneal Media, HARNEAL media.com, sponsor of trampledunderfootpodcast.com.
All right, excellent. Well, listen, guys, thank you for hanging out. We hope you enjoyed the rest of your week. Do the things that you love. Be safe, and we'll catch you here next time, same place. Peace.
Please. This way.